Does a chameleon really change its color for camouflage? And does a goldfish really have a 3-second memory? Welcome to False Facts Everyone Still Believes. 1.
Sucking the poison out of a bee sting helps.
Does this sound familiar to you? I'm sorry to say it doesn't actually work. In the 19th century, they found out that sucking the poison out of snakebite worked. So they figured it would work for bee stings too. What they didn't know is that the poison of a bee is much quicker in your body than snake poison. It wasn't until the mid-20th century that this even got removed from first aid kits. Cooling the sting and just relaxing will help it heal and make you feel better. 2. We eat 8 spiders a year in our sleep. Everyone's heard the myth that you swallow spiders in your sleep. If you've never heard it, you're lucky. It's a story that can give you nightmares. Back in the 1990s, a Danish journalist named Lisa Holst published this fake fact in an article, just to see how quick people would spread it. In no time, millions of people shared and believed the story, and many still do. The truth is, spiders actually avoid you because they can sense your body's movements. And a warm, wet mouth. Definitely not attractive to them, so you're safe there too. 3. Do you only have 5 senses? Or is there more than just hearing, tasting, seeing, touching, and smelling? It's an old story from the Greek philosopher Aristotle, and we still tell it today. Scientists have now discovered that humans can have between 9 and 20 different senses. On top of the big 5, there's proprioception, your body's awareness of where your limbs are. If you've ever touched your ear with your eyes closed, you've got good proprioception. Interoception lets you know when you're hungry. Then there's thermoception, which senses heat and cold. Nociception gives you the sense of pain, and the vestibular sense helps keep your body balanced. So next time someone tells you humans only have 5 senses, be sure to tell them there are at least 3 more. 4. You've probably heard that different parts of your tongue taste different flavors. A German psychologist once believed he had discovered that different parts of the tongue were responsible for different flavors. As you might see in this classic diagram, the front of the tongue was supposed to taste sweet like candy, and the back edges, sour flavors like lemon. For his research, he tested only a handful of people, and used taste samples that weren't even consistent. Some had 30% salt, others 25%. Somehow his findings made it into school textbooks, and even today, many people still believe this myth. The truth? Every part of your tongue can detect all flavors. Some areas may be slightly more sensitive than others, but there are no strict zones for sweet, salty, sour, or bitter. 5. Does a goldfish really have a 3-second memory? Maybe someone said this to you. You have the memory of a goldfish. That's not a compliment, but a sign to train your memory. Why do people think goldfishes have a 3-second memory? Because the goldfishes were swimming around without any purpose, people came up with the idea that they must have a memory of 3 seconds. However, a goldfish can actually be very smart. They recognize other fishes and even people for a few months. You can even teach them tricks. So when do I see your goldfish make a backflip? 6. Imagine you're standing in a field full of bulls, wearing a red t-shirt. Would you survive? Well, the idea that bulls go crazy because of the color red is just as wild as the sport itself. In Spain, where the sport is a tradition, they use a lot of red. People saw bulls charging at the red flag, and now everyone thinks bulls get angry at the color red. The bulls actually get angry because of the fluttering flags and clothes, and Spain just happens to use red. And that's how the myth got started. So next time you find yourself in a field full of bulls, make sure to take off all your clothes or be ready to run. 7. Eat more carrots and get better eyes. Has your mom ever told you you need to eat your carrots so you will see better? Well, it's a lie. I thought most of the people would know that it's a lie. But apparently a lot of adult people still believe this. The story comes from a British propaganda campaign from World War II. The British Royal Army started using radar technology to intercept the German bombers during nighttime. The British military wanted to keep this technology a secret. So when people got curious, they told they were having such good success because their pilots ate a lot of carrots. Even the government thought it was genius and told everyone to eat a lot of carrots to improve your night vision. What do you think of the idea? 8. Was Napoleon a midget? Napoleon's height was recorded as 5 feet 2, something the British could only laugh about. Was such a small man their leader? The British were spreading the information to make fun of Napoleon. In reality, the French inches were longer than British inches, so he was actually closer to 5 feet 8, in France a very average length. That's a difference of 15 centimeters. In the 1920s, the term Napoleon complex was coined, which essentially is just another word for short man syndrome. 9. Have you ever heard that shaving makes your hair grow faster and thicker? Which side are you on? If you're lucky enough not to believe this, congratulations. In the 20th century, when disposable razor blades became common, people saw for the first time how stubble came back. It looked like it grew faster, but that's just because you went from no hair to a little. Razor blades also cut hairs straight across, so stubble looks thicker than hair that grows naturally. So, shaving doesn't make your hair grow back faster. Luckily, otherwise we'd all be tiny versions of Bigfoot. 10. Is your tongue the strongest muscle? For this answer, we go back to the 19th century. People love the tongue because you could do so much with it. Talking, swallowing, chewing, and moving in all directions. But when we look at the tongue, it's actually a composite muscle made up of 8 individual muscles. The tongue is made up of 4 intrinsic muscles. These are responsible for changing the shape of the tongue. For example, making it pointy. Then, there are 4 extrinsic muscles, which move the tongue around in space. They're the ones that let you stick your tongue out at someone. Thanks to this teamwork, your tongue can do an incredible variety of things. 11. Has anyone ever told you that cracking your knuckles can damage your joints? Don't worry, I'm here to tell you that it's not harmful at all. People used to think that the popping sound meant your joints were being damaged. But after major studies, scientists found no difference between people who never cracked their knuckles and those who did it every single day for decades. In fact, Dr. Donald Unger cracked only the knuckles of his right hand for 60 years, while leaving his left hand untouched. In the end, there was no difference, and he even won a Nobel Prize for it. So what's really happening? That cracking sound is just gas bubbles releasing from the fluid in your joints when you stretch or bend your fingers. Luckily, it's completely harmless. 12. Vikings are often imagined as tough guys with long beards, sometimes long braids, and wearing horned helmets. But is this right? The image we have of Vikings actually comes from the 19th century, when artists wanted to create a dramatic, barbaric vision of them, and that's when they added helmets with horns. Archaeological discoveries show that real Viking helmets were practical and simple, without large decorations like horns. But admit it, Vikings do look way cooler with a pointy helmet, right? 13. Breakfast is the most important meal of the day. Back in the 19th century, John Harvey Kellogg and his brother Will Kellogg came up with what they believed was a brilliant invention: cornflakes. They promoted it as a healthy alternative to the heavy, greasy breakfasts of the time, and thanks to clever marketing, the idea of a light and wholesome breakfast quickly took hold. Fast forward to the 1940s, and cereal companies were running massive ad campaigns, repeating the now famous line, "Breakfast is the most important meal of the day." By the 1960s, scientific studies seemed to back it up. People who ate breakfast appeared healthier and had lower body weight. But here's the catch. Those results were skewed because the studies mostly included people who already had healthy lifestyles. With today's research methods, we know better. Breakfast is an essential for everyone. For some, it's the perfect way to start the day. For others, skipping it works just fine. On which side are you? 14. Can dogs only see in black and white? Dogs don't just see in black and white. While humans have around 6 million cone photoreceptor cells in their eyes, dogs only have about 1.2 million. Humans also have 3 types of cones: red, green, and blue, whereas dogs only have 2, yellow and blue. This doesn't mean they see the world in black and white. What they actually have is called dichromatic vision, which means they mostly perceive shades of yellow and blue. Essentially, it's similar to how colorblind people see the world. For dogs, it's just a bit harder to distinguish certain parts of the spectrum. For example, anything from red to green would appear as various shades of yellow or brownish colors. But here's the trade-off. What dogs lack in vision, they more than make up for with their sense of smell. They have about 220 to 300 million olfactory receptors, compared to just 5 to 6 million in humans. 15. Chameleons change color thanks to special skin cells called iridophores or chromatophores. Inside these cells are tiny nanocrystals that reflect light in different ways. When a chameleon adjusts the spacing between those crystals, its colors shift right before your eyes. Back in the 16th century, European explorers wrote about this mysterious creature that could magically change its colors. The easiest explanation at the time? They thought chameleons did it to become invisible to predators. Later on, cartoons and comic books only fueled that idea, making us believe chameleons were masters of camouflage. But the truth is even cooler. Chameleons mostly use their colors to communicate. Bright greens, yellows, or reds often signal aggression or courtship, while darker shades usually mean stress or a defensive mood. Color change also helps regulate body temperature. Darker tones absorb more heat, while lighter tones reflect it and keep them cooler. Sure, they sometimes use color as camouflage, but not nearly as dramatically as the movies make us think. Which stories did you think were real? Let me know in the comments. Please subscribe and like if you liked this video. See you in the next one.